Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. Yeah. We're back with a talk video. Today's topics: the MG-100 Kit Analysis, Echelon Kit Analysis. We'll do the developer insights and synergies for both. Break down the Embo Omicron. It's a territory war one. No free-to-play gearing for my roster right now. Holding off until the sign-up for the next Grand Arena before I do any of that. We're going to start with the MG-100 Starfortress, and the way that we do things here is that we just focus in on the key terms to simplify our understanding of these kits. And in this case, we're going to do things a little differently. We're going to start with the unique, the sweet spot, because everything flows from here. The rest of the abilities don't really matter if we don't understand this one first. So with the unique, if all allies are resistant at the start of the battle, Starfortress is immune to critical hits. That's just going to make it tankier, not as important. Starfortress is then going to gain taunt whenever an ally with deflector shield is damaged. So if the Radis is going second, or if the resistance ships are going second, very likely Starfortress is already going to be taunting. Starfortress then will, when it loses taunt, it's going to gain taunt again if a resistance ally has deflector shield. So it's going to be a very persistent taunt. While the Starfortress is taunting, it's going to have a 100% counter chance. That's going to be important. And then when the Starfortress gains foresight, it's going to convert that foresight into critical hit immunity instead. Whenever a resistance ally deals damage to an enemy, it's going to apply a stack of the sweet spot up to a max of 5. Sweet spot is how everything is going to be working with these other abilities. And with at the other part of this unique, about the 100% counter chance, that means every time the Starfortress is countering, it's going to be applying a stack of the sweet spot. The basic gunners look alive. On the Starfortress's turn, it's going to deal physical damage twice, and that is going to distinguish it from its counters or when it assists. Because when it deals damage twice, that means it's going to be applying 2 stacks of the sweet spot. Whereas on the assists or on the counters, it's going to only apply 1. Regardless, it's also going to inflict target lock for 2 turns, and if the enemy has 5 stacks of sweet spot, that means the Starfortress will be recovering 15% protection. So you're going to want to get up to those 5 stacks as quickly as possible. And that's going to get reinforced with the first special begin drop sequence, deal physical damage, dispel all buffs from the target enemy, remove turn meter per stack of sweet spot. So the more stacks of sweet spot, that means up to 50% turn meter if it has those 5 stacks. Inflict evasion down, which can't be resisted. If target enemy has 5 stacks of sweet spot, it's going to place 3 concussion mines, which is unevadable, unresistible. So getting to the 5 stacks is going to be very important. It's going to allow for more recovery, more turn meter removal, more concussion mines, and this before we even get to the next special here, Tico Sister Legacy. Recover 50% health, gain taunt for 2 turn, and then mass assist with resistance allies, dealing 50% damage except when it has those 5 stacks where there will be no damage penalty. While removing the damage penalty is nice, what really matters here is the mass assist, because the mass assist is going to be driving those stacks of the sweet spot. And all those ancillary effects that you get from those stacks is going to be very beneficial. So having Rose Tico geared up is going to likely be more important than the Resistance Trooper. Obviously, you're going to want to have both. But if you're a newer player, you probably missed the relevancy of the Fin Zeta, which means you probably don't have a Resistance Trooper geared up like older players like myself do. So if I'm going to prioritize one to start, it will be Rose Tico to gear up first. The reinforcement ability, we'll cover it, but I don't think there's going to be a very likely scenario in which you're going to be bringing this in as a reinforcement. It's when it enters the battle, it's going to apply 2 stacks of the sweet spot to all enemies. So it's an AoE application of the sweet spot. Resistance allies are also going to gain tenacity up. But the resistance ships are fairly fragile, so it's going to be pretty important to have a tank out there. That is the biggest problem with this fleet, is the Houndstooth removed its viability. So having that tank as a starter is going to be far more important. So this hardware ability is irrelevant. A couple quick words on Synergy. Nothing fundamentally changes from when the Houndstooth was the tank. Ray's Falcon and the Resistance X-Wing paired with the MG-100 as the starters, Poe's X-Wing as the reinforcement, mainly because the Poe's X-Wing has such a good reinforcement ability. Radis should use its basic on the MG-100 so that it calls the MG-100 to assist, which is going to add those stacks of the sweet spot faster, but also help it recover protection, because whenever it's using its basic on an enemy with the sweet spot, it's going to be recovering that 15% protection. So that will just help keep it alive, keep it tankier. You're going to want it to be using its basic as much as possible. And the same thing is happening with its counter. Every time it's countering, it's going to be healing. In regards to the developer insights, there's nothing really to extract from here. Most of this was pretty apparent with the kits themselves. The only thing I feel like adding is just the trend of these stacking abilities that we've been seeing in a lot of the recent kit releases that CG has been doing. It's just something interesting. These trends have happened throughout their kit design, throughout the existence of the game. First Order TIE Echelon, the First Order tank, same deal here. We're just simplify these kits as much as we can. Basic, initiate the hunt. This is physical damage to the target. If the enemy is hunted, inflict target lock. Target lock will call all other First Order allies with advantage to assist. So it's going to have some light or full mass assist potential depending on how many allies have advantage, and they will also gain advantage for a turn. This is going to help take down hunted enemies much faster than they're currently being taken out. First special, the Galaxy's Edge. Echelon's going to gain protection up for 2 turns, and then all other First Order allies is going to gain 15% protection up. Then it will be a mass assist for First Order allies with less damage, and they will gain stealth for 2 turns. The hardware ability is going to be very similar to that. Vanguard of the First Order, TIE Echelon gains protection up, and First Order allies will be gaining stealth. Rest of the encounter, whenever stealth expires, the TIE Echelon is going to taunt. You're never going to bring this in as a reinforcement, but the important part to remember is with the Finalizer, all these reinforcement abilities are activated at the start of the battle, which means at the start of the battle, with the TIE Echelon on the front lines, it's going to start with protection up, and the First Order allies will be under stealth, and by the time it expires in 2 turns, the TIE Echelon will be taunting, which will allow you to use the special, the Galaxy's Edge, to return all those allies back to stealth and make sure the Echelon is continuing to taunt and having protection up. The unique Might of the First Order, at the start of each First Order ally's turn, TIE Echelon is going to be gaining defense, health, and protection. That's stacking. That means the longer the battle goes along, the tankier the TIE Echelon will be getting. When a First Order ally lands a critical hit, TIE Echelon is going to recover health and protection. So that's with the advantage up it's those enemies getting those crits. It's going to help the TIE Echelon heal. So back with that basic. With the basic, when these allies are with advantage are assist, that means they are going to be recovering health and protection on the TIE Echelon, helping to keep it out on the field. If the TIE Echelon is the only ally ship not stealth, and there are other ally ships that are stealthed, it can't be critically hit. So by avoiding those crits, it's going to be a lot harder to take the TIE Echelon out. And like with the MG-100, a couple quick thoughts on the synergy. So the command shuttle and the silencer are the obvious starters. The First Order Special Forces TIE Fighter, I think, should be the priority of the 2 reinforcement abilities. And that is because the target lock on the First Order TIE Fighter is just a chance, whereas the Special Forces TIE Fighter is going to be giving that target lock if it crits. And if it has advantage, it's going to crit. So it's going to be a much more persistent target lock. And because of the basic on the TIE Echelon, you're going to want those target locks, because the target locks are going to create that mass assist or partial mass assist depending on who has advantage. TIE Silencer, assisting with its basic, is going to have a chance for getting more advantage if you're targeting an enemy that doesn't have more than 50% turn meter. If it does, you're going to be spreading stuns around and controlling the field. Also, with its own reinforcement ability, you're just going to be ensuring that it's using its special and doing a lot of damage whenever it is taking a turn. It'll be assisting with its basic, and then you'll be using its special to attack. Command shuttle, I think it's the second special, whichever is Phasma's ability, the one that I don't use too often, where you select itself and it gives turn meter to everybody. That's going to become a very important ability now, because it's going to be spreading advantage to everyone to make sure that advantage is always up as much as possible. Before, I was always swapping turns and giving it to the silencer. Now you're going to want to swap turns with the TIE Echelon to just bring it back to that Galaxy's Edge ability even faster, so that you're making sure these other ships are under stealth. That's when you're going to want to use that ability. Otherwise, it's going to be very good to use that Phasma ability to keep advantage up. And it's the same deal with the developers' insights. These are worth reading if you want clarity on these kits, but what I like to read these for is hints to how to use these fleets, or hints as to what is coming in the future. That's not really applicable to these kits as much. A little bit about how to use the ships. They talk a little bit about the command shuttle and timing that Galaxy's Edge ability, but that's about it here. And the other day we received the latest Omicron ability. It is Embo's, and it is a Territory War Omicron. It's not bad, but I can't recommend it. So while in Territory Wars, Bounty Hunter allies gain 40% max protection. At the end of Embo's turn, Bounty Hunter allies recover protection equal to a quarter of Embo's max protection, and Embo himself will have that doubled. So while Embo has protection, Bounty Hunter allies gain 30% defense, 5% turn meter when a Bounty Hunter ally receives damage while debuffed. Ultimately, that's too many conditions for me. It's while Embo has protection, while there's a debuff. That might happen more often than not, and it's fine, but I don't like these scenarios for when you are not going to get the benefit from the Omicron ability. There's plenty of other Omicron abilities that I find more enticing, where there aren't as many conditions placed upon it. But I don't think it's bad. It's going to make Bosk teams tankier and a little faster. It's going to make those Django teams a little bit harder to take down and give them that turn meter speed on top of that speed boost they have to start. So it's going to be a really nice Omicron to add to those teams. If you're a guild that prioritizes or encourages territory war Omicrons, it's not bad, but I can't recommend it. We're going to wrap it up there. Last couple thoughts is CG is now doing a lot of things to encourage crystal spending. We have the Galactic Chase with these Galactic Chase events, and it's going to be on the Cantina node for the MG-100 to start. You're probably going to have to go through the 200 crystal refreshes if you're going to want to unlock the MG-100. That's about what has been in the past. Now, it's not that bad since we're also farming the Starkiller characters, or at least later game players are. So it'll help speed up those Starkiller farms, but it is going to eat up a lot of crystals. On top of that, we have a bunch of characters in shipments right now. I'm a player who likes to take those marquee characters up to 4 stars, so I'm spending, what is it? It's 1680 for 16 shards, so I'm spending like 3200, 3300 crystals to take a character up to 4 stars once they hit shipments. On top of that, we got a bunch of gear packs, those crystal gear packs that they do where you get a chance of 25 or 50 pieces. Those are generally a great deal because you're either getting 25 pieces of gear at a price that you would be paying for them in shipments, or you get double that. The point of those gear packs is to eat up your crystals. And whenever CG is doing things that are encouraging us to spend a lot of our crystals, it means something is very possibly going to happen in the near future that we want those crystals for. So just be mindful of that. We got a road ahead still on the horizon. We got another marquee character coming. So these things could be happening where we might want those crystals for some of these future announcements. Things to be thinking about. Be safe out there, everyone. Be excellent to each other. This is Still Play as Galaxy of Heroes.